So Alex Pereira has once again gone out and saved the UFC and saved a pay-per-view card, and he did it, of course, in exciting fashion. And I think it's safe to say that Alex Pereira is now the face of the UFC. I mean, that performance against Yuri Prochazka was nothing short of exceptional. I mean, he went in there, took absolutely zero damage, and he honestly looked better this time than he did in the first matchup with Yuri. Now, I was expecting this fight to be a lot longer than it actually was, but of course, Alex Pereira, he's just too good, man. Like, in that first round, he finished the first round with that left hook that honestly would have finished the fight if the round was about like 10 to 15 seconds longer. Caught Yuri perfectly on the chin, and it would have been wraps if he got to some ground and pound. But the round ended, and then in round 2, things picked up pretty much the same as they went in round 1. Yuri just couldn't really figure out Alex. He just was really getting beat up, honestly, and then boom, head kick, KO, and it was honestly beautiful. It was perfectly executed, perfectly read, and I think he did an amazing job of just saving this entire card in general. Alex actually broke his toe on Yuri's face, which is badass in itself, and you could honestly see him trying to set this up earlier in the fight. You could see Pereira chopping at Yuri's legs, really feeding those leg kicks, and if you notice, when Yuri's trying to block or defend leg kicks, his hands drop. So all Alex really had to do was feint to the legs and then land one upstairs, and that's exactly what he did, and it was timed to perfection. And as I mentioned before, this is not the first time Alex Pereira has gone out there and saved a UFC card. He saved UFC 300, he saved UFC 295, I believe, in Madison Square Garden when Jon Jones pulled out, and now he's gone and saved this card when McGregor pulled out. Alex Pereira has become an absolute superstar, and he deserves every ounce of stardom that he's getting right now. It's so rare to see guys at the top of their game in the UFC and wanting to fight as much as Alex does. He's already came out after this fight and says that he wants to fight in August at UFC 305 in Perth. That's ridiculous. This guy is fighting at almost a 2-month rate right now, and he's the champion of the light heavyweight division. That's incredible. You just do not see this from so many top fighters. And that's what's propelled him into this crazy stardom. Everybody respects him. Everybody loves him. I don't know one guy that actually hates Alex Pereira besides Israel Adesanya. And it doesn't matter who he's facing, you're always turning in for an Alex Pereira fight. And all of these reasons I've laid out in front of you guys is why I believe he is the face of the UFC, and he's one of the biggest stars in the sport, and it's all rightfully deserved. And it's unfortunate to see Yuri go down like that, because I actually really do love Yuri. I think he's awesome as well, but it's just a case where you just can't beat the guy in front of you. You are exceptional, but there's one guy that's just a little bit better. It was like Max and Volk when Max was fighting Volkanovski at featherweight. Like, yes, Max is exceptional. We all know he is. He's a beast, but sometimes you just have kryptonite. There's that one guy that's your kryptonite. Volkanovski was Holloway's, and it seems that Pereira is Yuri's. Now, what exactly could be next for Alex Pereira? I mean, with this guy and his level of stardom, there's a million options, but there's probably really only 3 that you want to see right now. It's either between Magomed Ankalaev, Tom Aspinall, and Jon Jones. So I'll tell you which one won't happen. Jon Jones will not happen. That fight will never happen, but it would be incredible to see, because you could see Alex have a chance at making history, being the first 3-division champion in the UFC. It would be incredible, and with the amount of time he's done it in, would make it even better, and a record that I don't think anybody would touch anytime soon. But we can't even get Jon to fight his own interim champion in his division in Tom Aspinall, so I doubt he's going to fight a guy in a weight class lower. That would be very dangerous. And honestly, the same kind of argument goes for a Pereira and Aspinall fight. A fight I would love to see, and I think would be great, but I don't know if it's going to be made, because number one, we don't even know if Aspinall is going to beat Blades. He has to do that first. And number 2, it just seems unlikely that the UFC would want Pereira to go up this quick, and they probably want him to stay down here and continue just beating up on these light heavyweights. Because although Pereira is so good, I think a fight with Tom Aspinall would not go his way. I think Aspinall's just bigger, stronger, and he would definitely take Pereira down. And in a scenario where a guy's taking you down and he has more weight on you, I just don't know if Pereira is going to have much luck in getting back up. So it leaves you with the only true contender in the light heavyweight division right now, and that's Magomed Ankalaev. Yes, Ankalaev's coming off of a win versus Johnny Walker, and that win's aging worse and worse by the day, but he really is the only option right now. I mean, Jamal Hill just got sent to the Shadow Realm. Yuri just got sent to the Shadow Realm. He's already beat Blachowicz. So really, there's only Ankalaev left. So I think this is a fight that the UFC is going to go with. I'm not sure when it would happen. Hopefully not on Ankalaev's terms, because he was demanding that the fight happen in Abu Dhabi. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because you don't get to call the shots, buddy. You're not the champ or the superstar. So whatever Pereira wants and wherever he wants this fight, I think it should take place. I also think Pereira should take some time off right now, because there's really no need for him to come back in August for the Perth card. But I mean, I wouldn't argue against it, and I wouldn't complain. I would love to see him fight there, and if that's what he wants to do, so be it. But yeah, the Ankalaev fight obviously makes the most sense, and honestly, I'm just super happy for Pereira. I think going out there and finishing Yuri Prochazka like that is not easy, and he made it look so easy. He's absolutely one of the best strikers in the game right now, probably the best striker in the world, honestly, and it's incredible to see how much he has grown and how much his stardom has grown in such a short period of time. The guy's had like only 8 or 9 UFC fights, and over half of them have been championship fights. That's just incredible. So yeah, hats off to Alex Pereira. He's an absolute superstar, probably the biggest star in the UFC, or at least one of them, and definitely the face of the UFC right now. Let's book him versus Ankalaev next, and let's see if he can pick up another KO victory. Quickly before I go now, I just wanted to touch on some of the other fights on the card. MVP versus Ian Gary was a snooze fest. I kind of expected that, but the fight pretty much went how I thought it would. I knew Gary was going to be a little bit quicker, and I knew he was going to implement the grappling. He implemented the grappling a lot more than I thought, but I mean, I don't blame him, dude. Like, who the hell wants to stand on the feet with Michael Venom Page for 15 minutes? I mean, nobody in their right mind. Gary had to do what he needed to do in order to get the victory, so hats off to him. And as for MVP, I mean, MVP's a great fighter. I think now more than ever makes sense to book the Wonderboy fight, but I guess we'll see what the UFC decides to do with him. And as for Ian Gary, it's time for a title eliminator fight. Get him in there against either a Shavkat or a JDM or Colby Covington, because that would be a great fight and make a lot of money, but who knows? Doesn't seem like Colby wants that. Either way, figure out a fight for Ian. He did great, and we'll see what comes next. And then for that madness in the co-main event with Diego Lopez and Dan Ige, because Brian Ortega dropped out with 3 hours notice. Dan Ige is an absolute dog for stepping in on 3 hours notice too, by the way, and he put an incredible performance in. Yes, he was already in training camp, so that definitely helped, but I mean, dude, 3 hours notice, and you go in there against one of the best contenders in the featherweight division, and you take him to the judges. Incredible. Hats off to him, and hats off to Diego Lopez too. I see a lot of people saying, oh, maybe the hype got derailed a bit, or maybe Ige kind of put some doubt in people's minds about Diego Lopez, but you got to remember the guy had to fight at 3 different weight classes in the span of 24 hours. Those weight cuts were not good for him, I guarantee you. And he also had a change of an opponent who was a completely different style to Brian Ortega. So I wouldn't give Lopez too much slack in this one. I think he did the best that he could with the cards he was dealt, and he put in a good performance, and he got the job done. So hats off to him too. But there you guys have it. That's what I think of this UFC 303 card as a whole. Alex Pereira is an absolute dog. Yuri Prochazka is a dog. And Diego Lopez is a dog. And so is Dan. Everybody's a dog. Everybody did incredible. It was a great card. And I'm excited to see what happens next. Let me know what you guys think, though. Do you agree with me? Do you think Alex Pereira is now the face of the UFC? You think it's somebody else? And how'd you think of the fights? Let me know down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you all for watching this one. And I'll catch you all in the next one.